137. Who had G? G. 137. Okay, that's pretty smart here. H. H. Who had H? Justin. 43. Okay, so you guys have your 3 and 1s. You've just verified all these angles and everything else. You've just measured them. You are so smart. Put your 3 and 1s down. Okay, nice. So at the very top of this page, you were playing with your 3 and 1s. You were able to figure this whole thing out. Now it says determine the relationship between the angles listed. Okay, so let's look at A and D. Okay, A and D. What are the measures of A and D? They're both 43 degrees, right? Okay, so I'm not even sure what we're supposed to write on here. I'm just going to write 43 on there. They are congruent. Okay. Are they next to each other? Are they around each other? What, A and D? They're basically vertical, so I'm going to write vertical angles over here. Vertical angles. And we always know that vertical angles are congruent. Okay. C and D. C and D. What's C? It's 137. What is D? It's 43. So are they congruent? No, what's the relationship? How are they related? Well, they are supplementary angles, right? But their name, we're going to call these guys a linear pair. Okay, don't go ahead and fill these out because there's kind of some weird things. B and F. B and F. B and F. How big's B? 137. Guys, pay attention. I'm almost done teaching. How big's F? 137. Okay, those are congruent. Okay, and look how they're sort of at the same position, right? So like one's in the upper right and the other one's in the upper right of the lower section. There's like one quadrant up top, there's one quadrant on the bottom, and they're both in the upper right. These are called, there's a new term, corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, okay? And corresponding angles, they are always congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent, okay? So B and F are both in the same spot. A and H, how big's A? How big's H? 43, sounds good to me, okay? We know these are congruent, okay? Now, look at this. One's at the upper left, one's at the lower right, correct? Okay, now, I have to draw this somewhere. Maybe I can draw this somewhere. What can I draw? I can draw this up here. Okay? They are on the opposite sides of this line. I'm going to tell you what this line is called. This line is called a transversal. I'm going to label it T. Okay? This line is called a transversal. And they're on opposite sides. We're going to call that word alternate. Alternate. I'll actually write the whole word out. Alternate. And are they in between the parallel lines, or are they on the outside of the interior parallel lines? Are they on between or inside or outside? Outside, okay? So the technical term for outside is exterior. Okay? I always think of a house whenever I hear this. Like there's the interior of the house, the inside, and there's the exterior of the house, which is the outside. Okay? So the idea here is they're on opposite, which means alternate. Alternate means opposite. So like one's here, then it alternates to the other side. And then they're on the outside because they're outside of the parallel lines as opposed to between the parallel lines. Is that okay? So they're called alternate exterior. Sweet. And those are always congruent. C and F. C and F. C and F are both 137. Okay? They are definitely congruent because they're both 137. Are they on the alternate? Are they alternate? Or are they, let's see. Are they same side or are they alternate of the transversal that cuts through? They're alternate, right? And they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so I'll say alternate. Are they on the interior or exterior of the parallel line? Inside, in between, or outside, exterior, outside of it? Interior. So these are called alternate interior angles. And they're on the outside like that. I'm sorry, inside. So they're on opposite sides of the transversal, left or right, as we look at it, and they're on the inside there between the parallel lines. Okay. C and E. C and E. C, where's C at? Oh, C and E. Okay. Are these on alternate? I'm sorry, one's 1 and one's 0. How big's C? 137? This one's 43. Okay. So those again are supplementary, right? I'm going to write that over here. These are supplementary angles. Okay. They're supplementary. Are they on the same side or are they on alternate sides? Same side. So we're going to call these same side. That's how it starts, and it's hyphenated, same side. Are they on the interior or the exterior of the parallel lines? Interior. So guess what? They're called same side, interior. Same side, interior. Okay. Same side, interior is always going to be supplementary angles. Let's see, A and G. I know A's at the very top left, and G's at the bottom, also on the left there. So let's see, they're different, right? This one's the 43. How big's G? Well, I really wish I could have that picture on here. So they're supplementary again. Are they on the same side or opposite sides? Same side. Are they on the inside or outside? Outside, so we call it exterior. Holy smokes, here we go. So here's the concept. The way that I look at this, if I was to name these angles again, like I'll just name them differently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? If I was just to name them like this, there's basically a quadrant up here, and there's a quadrant down here. Okay? And there's a relationship that exists between them. Okay? 1 and 5 are corresponding, 2 and 6 are corresponding, 3 and 7 are corresponding, 4 and 8 are corresponding. It means they're congruent. Okay? Corresponding angles. That's right here. Okay? Alternate exterior, that's like 1 and 8, or it's like 2 and 7. 2 and 7 are also alternate exterior angles. I guess I could use the letters that are on yours. That would make more sense to you guys. Alternate interior would be like C and F, or like D and E. D and E are also alternate interior angles. Same side interior would be C and E, or D and F. Same side interior, we just did those. Same side exterior would be like A and G, or B and H. Okay? So those are where we're at. There's also, those are the ones we're going to use. There's no such thing as a, let's see, which one are we missing? Alternate, I think we got pretty much all of them. It says, see if there's any other relationships that exist. There is kind of a relationship that exists that says like, hey, 4 is the same as, I don't know. There's one relationship up there that it doesn't name, but it kind of is taken care of with other things. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify the relationship. You don't need to measure anything. You don't need a 3 and 1. You don't need to measure anything at all. First thing we're going to do is identify the relationship. Okay? That's basically like matching. It's like kind of like multiple choice. Okay? It's like multiple choice. And here's the multiple choices. I wrote them on the board over here, but they're also written in the directions. These are the things that we learned before. Complementary. What does complementary mean? They add up to 90 degrees. Linear pair. That means they add up to 180. They're basically supplementary. Linear triple. They also add up to 180. The linear means that. Vertical angles. Okay, they're congruent. Okay? So the idea here is that these add up to 90 degrees. These add up to 180. These add up to 180. Vertical angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent. Anything that's alternate is going to be congruent. Anything that's same side is going to be either going to be supplementary or adding up to 180. And 180. Okay? So the way I remember this is that if it says same side supplementary, same side is supplementary, means it adds up to 180. If anything alternate, it's going to be congruent. Alternate's congruent, same side supplementary. Okay? So first off, number one, how are these two related? What's the name? These are vertical angles, so I better write that down. Vertical angles. Okay? Secondly, if Vertical angles are what? How are they related? They are congruent, so basically I can write this down as 3x plus 8 equals 128. Okay, so to write an algebraic sentence representing this relationship, finally solve for x, showing all work. Brett, stop touching him. 3x equals 120, divide both sides by 3, and x equals 40. That's our final answer. So I need to find vertical angles, that'd be worth a point. You writing your algebraic sentence is basically worth a point, and you solving it correctly would also be worth a point if this was on a test. Okay? So vertical, to identify the relationship, write it based on the relationship, then all of a sudden solve it. Any questions on how that works? No, sir. Okay. What's the relationship for number 2? Yep. What's that? They're not complementary. Complementary means they would be right next to each other. They'd add up to 90 degrees. You don't know. What was the last one? Why? Do you think they're vertical? Okay. Because the idea is there's like one line here that's intersecting this one line here, and these are the ones that basically they form a V like that. Right? V for vertical. So these two are vertical. Okay. The equation you'd set up is 4x equals 68 because things that are congruent are basically equal to each other. Divide both sides by 4. X would equal, is that 17? Like so. Are you guys okay with this? Okay, we're going to move on then. Number 3. Carrington, what's the relationship? On the same side or our let's see, alternate sides of the transversal? Okay. Are they on the same side or alternate sides of the transversal? This is the transversal. Opposite sides, so that would be alternate. Okay. Alternate. Are they on the inside of the parallel lines or the outside of the parallel lines? Carrington? Inside of the parallel lines or outside of the parallel lines? Outside, so we call the outside the exterior. So these are alternate exterior angles. Okay, Carrington, are alternate exterior angles congruent or are they supplementary? Congruent, okay? Anything alternate is going to be congruent. Same side is supplementary. Anything that's same side is always going to be supplementary. So these are congruent. So again, we just write 115 equals 10x minus 5, and we're set. All we do is we solve this. Shad, solve this for us. You can do it. You're the man. We add 5 to both sides. Yes. Divide both sides by 10. Great job. X equals 12. You're so smart. Great job. Okay. The next one looks tough. Okay? The reason it looks tough is because all of a sudden they turned it. Okay? The one line is always the transversal. These guys are the parallel lines. Okay? But if you think about it, if you look at it, are they on the same side or are they on alternate opposite sides, Connie, of the transversal? Same side or alternate sides? Alternate sides. So we'll write alternate. Interior or exterior? Are they between the parallel lines or outside of them? Exterior. Now, did you know that or did he have to tell you? Okay. Alternate exterior. Now, do you know this? Alternate exterior angles, are they congruent or supplementary? They're congruent. The only ones that are supplementary are same side supplementary. Same side, you're going to be supplementary. Those are all the S's. Okay? So alternate exterior, those are going to be congruent. So, Connie, how do I set up this equation? 2x plus 6 equals 86. You're so smart. Solve it for us, Mitchell. Subtract 6 from both sides, that's correct. What do we have left? 80 equals 2x, because you subtracted. Both sides by 2, sounds good to me. X equals 40. You're so smart. Thank you for being smart. And wearing bright colors. That way I can see you. You're welcome. Good. Let's see. Maybe for the next one. What's the relationship? They're on the same side, okay. Are they part of the same quadrant though? They're not? Yeah, this 67, I'm going to say is right here, and this other one's right here. Okay, so they're the same quadrant, okay? So that means we got to look at something we learned before. Okay, they're not same side, they're not alternate, they're not anything like that. But they're in the same quadrant, we got to look at some of these words that are over there on the left. Are they on the same line? If they're on the same line, then they're going to be a linear something. Linear pair, okay? So that's the relationship between these. They are a linear pair. Remember, if they're on the same line, it's going to be linear something like that. If they're right next to each other like that. Oh, linear pair, sorry. There's two of them, so it's a pair. Are a linear pair congruent or are they supplementary? Those are also going to be supplementary. Okay. The linear pair is also going to be supplementary. So how do we set that equation up? Let me ask you what supplementary means. What does it mean? Somebody tell me what supplementary means. What does that mean? So angles add up to 180. What are the angles? And what else? Okay. Do I put an equal sign between those? No, they add up to what? They add up to 180. Okay? So when you do this, when they're supplementary, basically you have one angle plus the other angle equals 180. Okay? So if you ever have linear pair, if you ever have same side anything, you're going to add up to 180. Linear pair, linear triple, or same side anything, it's all going to add up to 180. Okay? Let's see. This would be 5x plus 70. Whoa. 70 equals 180. What do I do next, everybody? Anybody? Subtract 70 from both sides. Oh boy. 5x equals 110. Then what? Divide both sides by 5. X equals 22. Thank you so much. Okay. Last one. Thank you so much. Number 6. Are there any parallel lines in there? Are there? Well, there's perpendicular lines, I guess, yeah. There is no transversal because there's no two parallel lines. If there's no parallel lines, there's no transversal. Transparent has nothing to do with this. Translucent doesn't either. Okay? So here's the concept. There's a couple different things we could do here. We know this is 90 degrees, and we should be able to figure out that this is also 90 degrees. So we could do this in two different ways. There's actually two different right answers for this. You could say this is a linear triple. And if you did, you had to say 90 plus 3x plus 60 equals 180. That's one way to do this. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way is to look at these two angles right here, just these two right here, and just say, hey, those two are complementary angles, if I can spell. And then you would just say 3x plus 60 equals 90. Either way, you're going to get the right answer. Either way, it's fine. You just got to make sure that you know what's going on. Technically, since it does say that to identify the relationship between the given angles, it says the given angles, I'd probably lean closer to this one being the right answer because it gave you 3 angles. Yes, ma'am. if if you said x equals 30, okay, then this angle right here by itself right here would be 90 degrees. So that'd be 90 plus 90 plus 60 is all in one line. That'd be 250 degrees as opposed to 180. Okay? So be careful with that. Either way that we solve this, when we subtract 60 from both sides or subtract the 150 from both sides, we then have 3x equals 30. Divide both sides by 3, and x would equal 10. Either way, when we end up, it'll turn out that way. Okay? So these are the angles that we're talking about. Again, it is like multiple choice. It is like multiple choice. We will have a couple different relationships, and I do want you to have these somewhere just so that you know. Complementary, they always add up to 80 or 90. I'll just put a plus 90 there. Linear pair, I'm going to write that they add up to 180. A linear triple, if you need to write these down somewhere, please write them down. Those add up to 180. And vertical angles, those are going to be congruent. Okay? I'm not going to say. Okay? These are ones that we've learned in the past. You should be very comfortable with these. These are ones that we've learned in the past. Okay? What we learned today, we learned about corresponding angles. Okay? Corresponding angles are congruent. We learned about alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are congruent. I think it's okay to abbreviate those for long words. We know about alternate exterior angles. Those are congruent. And then we have same side interior. Those add up to be 180 degrees. And we have same side exterior. Those add up to 180 degrees as well. Okay, so those are our angle relationships. That's everything we've learned. Tanya, you really got to stop doing that. These are all the relationships that we've learned. Those are all of them so far. You really shouldn't throw stuff. You're going to say after class. I'm going to hand you guys your assignment. If you have any questions on it, you're going to be able to ask me. But basically the idea is we're going to keep going with this. You're going to identify the relationships. And if you need to set up some sort of equation, you're going to be solving them as well.